Okay, just for the sake of teaching you how, I've also added a cool sign here to kind of um, call to action, dare us to go in, right? So I just wanted to show you how to use like a JPEG or a PNG to kind of decorate your Unity world in case you never have before. The way I constructed this sign is I first made a tree. Actually, Unity has a 3D object that it can generate called a tree. Um, it's got a pretty complicated set of component parts, you know, in terms of just like how you get what you want out of the tree. It can be like this slider is like a random seed to sort of change the shape of the trunk. So what I did was just slide around till I got a trunk that I thought I could work with. And then I made no attempt to get branches or anything else like that. I was just making a tree uh, trunk in an attempt to just get like a kind of wiggly branch for my sign. Um, so now I'm just shrinking it to scale. You know, this one's kind of twisty compared to the one that I actually went with, so maybe that's not the perfect, but maybe it'll do okay. So that's my sign this time, and and now we're going to let's say we rotate it on the Y, and we've got our bottom. I will now make a cube. Um, this thing is going to be the back of the sign. So I'm gonna make it pretty small in this direction, and then I'm just gonna raise it up and shrink it down this way. So that's going to be kind of the thickness of my sign, and I'll sort of rough it in there so that it's on my branch. And finally, um, the way I worked with the actual image is that I made a folder and called it Sprites. So let's pull a still image like a JPEG or a PNG into that Sprites folder. So I've dragged another still image in. This is a PNG, but it could be a JPEG or whatever. It's in my Sprites folder, and I'm going to click on it. And when I go up here, instead of texture type default, I'm going to change it to a sprite, 2D and UI. And what that means is that it can be used as a flat sort of 2D image for this kind of purpose or for a user interface purpose. So now up here where I've made my, oh, and then yes, I hit apply. So then I'm going to right click on my cube and create an empty under that that I'll call sign. And I'm going to drag my sprite to sign. And that's going to set up the sprite as a child of that. Now, of course, we've got size and position issues, so I'm going to change all that. Try to bring it down to a reasonable size, and then move it out front. So finally, in this case, since the aspect ratio of my image is different than the cube I had made, you know, I could change the cube to make that all make sense. But that's essentially just the visual of like the thickness. Incidentally, if you're wondering, like, well, why wouldn't you just make this thing the material for your cube or whatever? The reason is it would try to wrap it around every face of the cube in like a repeating pattern. So this is a way that you can just sort of use the flat image. All right, now with that tree and the sign and everything kind of childed under my cube, I'm just going to change its name to Sign2, and I have the entire thing ready to go.